Most men never realize women silently reject them before conversations emotionally even begin naturally. They assume attraction disappears because looks matter more, confidence matters more, money matters more afterward. But none destroyed my dating life nearly as brutally before during painful, lonely years previously. What destroyed everything was something women almost never directly explain honestly afterward to men publicly. They felt absolutely nothing emotionally whenever conversations started slowly drifting around me afterward, constantly there. And once women emotionally disconnect from you, everything quietly starts collapsing afterward, almost immediately there. Your jokes suddenly feel forced, your texts feel boring, your entire presence feels emotionally forgettable afterward. She still smiles politely sometimes, still replies occasionally, still acts friendly whenever accidentally meeting afterward. But deep inside her mind, she already categorized you emotionally safe and completely lifeless forever afterward. Most men never notice this happening until women suddenly disappear without explanations afterward, completely there naturally. I know because years ago, women reacted exactly the same way around me, constantly afterward, everywhere. Every conversation felt awkward, every interaction felt cold, every date quietly collapsed afterward, almost immediately there. I kept believing, eventually, some woman would magically understand my personality deeply someday afterward, naturally there. So I memorized conversation tricks online and copied confidence advice constantly afterward from dating creators. I tried sounding smarter, funnier, calmer, more masculine whenever attractive women entered conversations nearby, casually afterward. But nothing changed because women still looked emotionally disconnected while speaking softly around me afterward constantly. And honestly, emotional indifference destroys confidence more brutally than direct rejection, honestly, afterward, there naturally. Because rejection feels honest, but emotional disinterest feels psychologically invisible and haunting afterward, consistently there. Then one night completely changed how I understood female attraction and emotional attachment forever afterward there. I watched one average-looking guy emotionally captivate women without trying impressively hard whatsoever there naturally afterward. He barely spoke loudly, barely flexed confidence, barely acted dominant around conversations afterward there socially constantly. Yet every woman around him looked emotionally alive whenever conversations shifted toward feelings afterward naturally there. That moment genuinely terrified me because none logically made sense anymore afterward, honestly there, naturally then. After years studying attraction psychology, emotional intelligence, and relationship dynamics carefully, afterward there consistently, naturally, I discovered women rarely become attached because men say impressive things during conversations initially afterward, anymore. They become emotionally obsessed after feeling emotionally understood around somebody unexpectedly unforgettable. Instead, afterward, naturally, there. And once you understand emotional attraction secretly operates underneath normal conversations, afterward, psychologically, there, naturally. You suddenly notice why certain men escape friend zones while others remain emotionally invisible forever. Afterward, consistently. I started noticing something strange whenever women talked around emotionally attractive men, afterward, constantly, everywhere, there. Those men rarely chased validation aggressively or performed exhausting masculine confidence routines publicly, afterward, anymore, there. Instead, women voluntarily leaned closer, laughed harder, and revealed surprisingly personal emotional stories afterward, naturally there. And the craziest part was none looked impossibly handsome or unbelievably wealthy either, afterward, honestly there, naturally. Some were average looking, some dressed casually, some barely talked confidently during interactions, afterward there, socially. But women still emotionally gravitated toward them almost automatically, without obvious logical reasons, afterward, there, strangely, naturally. At first, I thought women secretly preferred mysterious personalities or emotionally unavailable toxic behavior afterward instead. Because social media constantly pushes those narratives through viral dating psychology content, afterward, everywhere, lately, there. But after studying human behavior deeper, I realized something psychologically different underneath everything, afterward, naturally, there. Those men triggered emotional investment before women logically evaluated attraction consciously afterward during conversations themselves, naturally. Relationship psychology studies repeatedly show emotional self-disclosure rapidly increases emotional bonding afterward, significantly there naturally. Meaning emotionally expressive conversations subconsciously create stronger emotional memories afterward inside relationships, naturally there consistently. Suddenly, my past dating failures started making painfully clear emotional sense afterward inside my head immediately. I was always trying to impress women logically, instead creating emotionally immersive experiences afterward women secretly remembered deeply. I talked about careers, goals, funny stories, random opinions, and surface-level topics constantly afterward before. Meanwhile, emotionally attractive men guided conversations toward feelings, fears, passion, nostalgia, and emotional vulnerability naturally afterward. And once I recognized this pattern, every interaction suddenly started feeling completely different afterward there immediately. Women stayed engaged longer, asked deeper questions, and texted back with emotional energy afterward consistently there. Not because I became physically attractive suddenly, but conversations finally felt emotionally stimulating afterward there instead. A few months later, I accidentally tested this during one emotionally intense conversation afterward, unexpectedly there. I sat inside a small downtown coffee shop around almost midnight, quietly afterward there, completely alone, naturally. Rain kept hitting windows softly, while exhausted strangers slowly disappeared afterward from surrounding tables nearby there. Then this girl started talking about childhood memories after mentioning her hometown casually afterward during conversations there. Most men probably would immediately change subjects or joke awkwardly afterward. Instead, they're naturally immediately before. But something inside me suddenly remembered everything attraction psychology previously taught. Carefully afterward, they're already naturally. So instead, interrupting her vulnerable moment, I quietly encouraged deeper emotional investment. Afterward, they're naturally instead. I asked what she missed most whenever loneliness suddenly hit her unexpectedly. Afterward, during stressful nights recently. And the moment she answered, everything emotionally shifted between us. Afterward, almost instantly, they're deeply naturally. Her voice softened slightly, her eye contact changed, and conversations suddenly felt strangely intimate. Afterward, immediately, there. That moment taught me something relationship psychologists constantly repeat about emotional memory. Afterward, scientifically, they're naturally. Human beings rarely remember exact words, unless emotional intensity becomes psychologically attached afterward, strongly there naturally. Women especially remember emotional states connected with specific people, environments, and vulnerable moments afterward, unconsciously, deeply there. Meaning attraction often grows emotionally long before physical escalation consciously happens. Afterward, surprisingly, there naturally instead. Most men completely misunderstand this because modern dating advice focuses heavily on surface performance afterward constantly. Looks, money, status, confidence, texting strategies, and social media validation dominate attention afterward. Nowadays, they're online. But emotional memory quietly controls whether somebody becomes psychologically unforgettable afterward. Inside relationships, eventually, instead, there. A woman might forget your funniest joke within days afterward, hearing conversations casually there, eventually, afterward, naturally. But she never forgets how emotionally safe or emotionally exposed you made her feel afterward consistently. After understanding emotional memory, I completely changed conversations with women afterward, everywhere, naturally there, consistently too. Not through manipulative pickup lines or fake alpha male confidence performances anymore, thankfully. Afterward, there, finally. Instead, I experimented with something surprisingly simple, emotionally changing interactions almost immediately afterward, naturally there, consistently. I started listening like therapists emotionally listen during psychologically vulnerable conversations afterward, carefully there, naturally too. And honestly, results felt almost unfair. Once women emotionally open themselves afterward, unexpectedly there, naturally, consistently. Most men accidentally destroy attraction because conversations feel emotionally flat afterward, and painfully predictable, constantly there. They ask generic questions while subconsciously hoping chemistry magically appears naturally afterward, somehow they're eventually instead. Where are you from? What movies you watch? What music sounds good lately? Afterward, nowadays, there. Then, women politely answer everything while emotionally disconnecting deeper throughout conversations afterward, quietly there, constantly, naturally. Because logical conversations rarely create emotional tension strong enough building genuine attraction afterward, psychologically there, naturally. The first guy looked confident, dressed sharply, and constantly controlled conversations afterward, loudly, there, socially, throughout. But every question sounded emotionally lifeless, rehearsed, and strangely robotic throughout conversations afterward, consistently there, naturally. Then, another guy joined conversations quietly, without performing exaggerated confidence tricks, afterward, naturally, there, immediately, instead. He asked what childhood memory instantly made life suddenly feel emotionally alive afterward, there again, naturally. And everything emotionally shifted faster than honestly believed possible during normal conversations afterward. Previously, there, naturally. Her body language softened immediately, her attention focused completely, and emotional chemistry intensified afterward, rapidly, there. That difference completely changes whether women emotionally remember conversations or instantly forget them afterward, unconsciously, there, naturally. And trust me, once women emotionally associate vulnerability with your presence consistently afterward, psychologically, there, naturally, your absence starts feeling strangely noticeable even when attraction never officially became discussed. Afterward, there, naturally, consistently. Because women rarely become obsessed with words, muscles, money, or social validation afterward, permanently, there, naturally. Instead, they become emotionally attached whenever somebody unlocks emotionally hidden parts themselves afterward consistently, there, psychologically, naturally. And honestly, making women emotionally open around you represents only the beginning. Afterward, naturally, there, psychologically. Making women emotionally addicted to your presence becomes an entirely deeper psychological game. Afterward, naturally, there.